Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner, and this is stage 4 of the Giro d'Italia. We got an exciting stage today. It's 187 kilometers, about 115 miles. The first half is flat, it's raining, it's miserable, and it's going to stay that way most of the day. The second half, the last 100 kilometers, mountainous, up and down all the time. They rate it with 3 categorized climbs, but really, in my book, there's at least 5, 6, 7 climbs up there that the riders are going over, and they're hard and difficult. The last climb is a long climb near the finish. It won't summit at the top, but it'll summit about 2 kilometers from the finish line, and that climb, the last 2 kilometers of that climb are over 10%. It's very steep and a hard stage, and remember, it's miserable and cold. The riders are feeling terrible. When you go down these descents, your knees and legs and arms are going to start getting cold, and it's going to be hard to get back on the pedals. Now, right away, miserable conditions. We don't know what to expect on a stage like today. In my experience, it's really nervous in the team bus. Everybody is there an hour before the race begins. You get dressed, you sit in your seat, and the director will start telling you about the stage and what they think the plans will be for your team and what other teams will do. The problem is, this early in a Grand Tour, with this many favorites still capable of winning, the tactic is very hard to play out. Now, Ineos Grenadiers, they got an easy tactic. They're riding for Egan Bernal. They want to keep the gap close so that nobody can threaten the GC lead when we're talking about at the finish of the stage. But you can give a jersey away, no problem. A real good rider like Egan Bernal could easily give the stage and the pink jersey away to another rider. So Ineos Grenadiers have the easy card in their pocket of just allowing the break to go. Other teams back there, like Bike Exchange, when you're talking about Simon Yates, another 5-star favorite, their team is going to set their rider meeting off of what they believe Ineos Grenadiers is going to do. Back gets a little more complicated when you start talking about the Koenig Quick-Step, right? They have Remco Evenepoel. I've already talked about them many times here on the Butterfly Effect. It's quite possible that the Koenig Quick-Step could just say, hey, we want to take the pink jersey on today's stage. We have young riders with Almeida and Evenepoel. We don't know how they'll perform when we get into the really big mountains after multiple hard stages back to back. So I could easily see where the Koenig Quick-Step says, hey, we're going to pull all day long and we're going to drive this into the finish and we're going to try to take the pink jersey with one of our race leaders. Now, when the race begins, it's chaos, it's wet, it's miserable. Riders can't see out there. They can't feel their fingers. They're cold. But that's not going to stop the race from happening. You're going to see 2 riders go up the road, Quentin Hermans from Intermarché and Victor Campenaerts. Those 2 riders are throwing in a huge dig there, and they're doing big power in order to stay off from the peloton. Behind, though, this is not going to be an easy stage. All the teams know that don't have a GC favorite. They know if they get into the front break, they have a chance of taking the pink jersey on a stage like today. So the fight back there is massive, and it's chaos under these conditions. Finally, a group of 25 riders will come together, and that's going to decide who's going to win the stage and take the pink jersey. There's multiple races going on, though. The GC favorites are in the back. They got their own little games they're playing. Up front, though, let's talk about the break of 25. With 70 kilometers to go, it's René Tarme, Quentin Hermans from Intermarché, and Chris Jules Jensen that are attacking from the break of 25, and they're going from 70 kilometers from the finish. This is a tall ask. This is very difficult, but under these situations, when the break is this big behind, if they don't work well together behind, this is a beautiful move. Now, personally, I would prefer to stay in the group of 25 when I'm René Tarme because I know I'm a climber. But I'm about 49-51 in favor of staying in the group, so it's a flip of a switch either way you want to go. René Tarme is going to choose to go early, and he's going to put on a show for us fans sitting here on the couch. So up front, the 3 riders are digging, and it's not long before Hermans ends up getting dropped, and now it's a 2-man show up there with Intermarché and Bike Exchange going dig for dig with each other. They're trying to make it to the line. You see a little chatting between the 2 riders. Maybe they're discussing a stage win versus getting the pink jersey. Who knows? But at that moment, they have over a minute lead, and it looks like a possibility that they can make it to the line. But remember, there's the last climb, and it's very difficult and hard. Behind in the group of 2022 riders back there chasing, to me it looks like it's Trek Segafredo that's doing most of the work. But you got to remember, there's Alessandro Di Marche back there for the Israel Startup Nation, and he's high up on the general classification, so he's a big favorite. So you have a big favorite back there with Israel Startup Nation, Di Marche, and of course up front, René Tarame from Intermarché. And remember, they just won yesterday, so they're trying to get a coup here with back-to-back fantastic stages. They'll reach the last climb. The time gap is about 58 seconds, but it starts dropping fast when Alessandro Di Marche starts doing his pulls to try to get back up to the front. Joe Dombroski, the American rider from UAE Team Emirates, he's latched on to Di Marche's wheel as Di Marche pulls him all the way across to the two breakaway riders. They'll catch with about 3 kilometers to go. Joe Dombroski, he won't wait around at this particular moment. He knows he's got to get over this climb without Di Marche, or he's probably going to lose the sprint to the rider. He does. He just holds him off by 10-15 seconds going over the top. Does a crazy curvy wet descent as he goes into the finish line. And the American kid, Joe Dombroski, pulls a fantastic win here at stage 4 of the Giro d'Italia. Behind, the racing's still not over because Alessandro Di Marche is racing, trying to get the pink jersey. He will dig deep and he will hold on in order to take the pink jersey at this year's 2021 Giro d'Italia. Now let's get back to the GC favorites because there's so many different scenarios going on in this race, it gets confusing. But in the back, it's Filippo Ganna that's been pulling all day long basically by himself. The world time trial champion is doing some amazing work up there for Egan Bernal. Finally, when he gets dropped, it's the Deceuninck Quick-Step that's taken over with about 40 kilometers from the finish to go, and they're going to pick the pace up for, of course, their 2 race leaders, Almeida and Remco Evenepoel. This surprised me that they're willing to get on the front at this particular point in time. I could have seen where they rode most of the stage and really left the race so that they can win the pink jersey at the end. But now getting on the front with 40K to go, I found it quite odd because you weren't going to catch the break and you weren't going to be able to get into the pink jersey at that point in time. The only other reason for Deceuninck Quick-Step to ride is if Remco Evenepoel or Almeida said, hey, I got the best legs I've ever had and I can blow this race apart and gain time. So they're back there pulling, and they'll pull all the way until Bahrain Victorious get on the front and they start driving. When I saw Bahrain Victorious get on the front, I thought this was strange. We know he has Mikel Landa. They have Mikel Landa up there. That's a GC race favorite here at this year's Giro, but in my book I see him as a 4-star, not a 5-star rider, so I don't think it's their job to do it, but they're going to do it anyways, and Mikel Landa finally launches on the steepest part of the last climb. He does a big dig there, chasing down the Trek Segafredo rider, Giulio Ciccone. He'll catch him fast, and he's in the drops down there, Pantani style, just sprinting all the way across to the Trek Segafredo rider, and right by him, as those two latch on together, Ciccone will sit on there on the back of the Bahrain Victorious rider, and then we start seeing what's going to happen in the back. Because when Ciccone first attacked, none of the favorites really thought of him as anything dangerous, and they let that gap go. But now with Mikel Landa going, he's a player on GC. I already said he's 4-star favorite. Behind, it's Alexander Vlasov, the Astana rider that throws in a big dig, and then we see Egan Bernal just blaze past everyone and bridge across to Mikel Landa. Hugh Carthy, EF Education rider, does a great dig of getting across, and then we see Vlasov back there just swinging, but he will attach on before they get over to the top, and those are the 5 favorites now that we get to look forward to in the stages to come. Egan Bernal, he looked amazing to me. The way he bridged across, when I was watching first on the couch and I saw Bahrain Victorious rider Mikel Landa go, and I didn't see Egan respond. Then Vlasov went. Egan still didn't respond directly. Shortly after that, he jumps, and then we know now he's on fabulous form. So the first day time trial meant nothing. He is riding great. We know he is a 5-star favorite at this race. Other things to look forward to. Almeida got dropped. Deceuninck Quick-Step rider is down to 1 favorite now with just Remco as their GC rider. George Bennett, Jumbo Visma, remember, he was coming into this year's race and this was going to be his first time as a race leader at a Grand Tour race, and he's been looking forward to this, not just for months or not just a year. He's been looking forward to this race to be an outright favorite for Jumbo-Visma and a race leader for years. 2, 3, 4, 5 years he's been looking for this chance, and now he got it. First mountain stage, he comes off the back and loses time. He's no longer a favorite to win this particular Giro. He's going to need a big result in order to get himself back into the race lead at this year's Giro. Just behind the Egon leg group, we have Remco Evenepoel. Now, he was my favorite to win this particular stage, or at least be the first in front of the GC rider. He lost 10 seconds. He's with Adam Yates back there. So they're a little bit off on form, but 10 seconds, you can make that up still, no problem. Simon Yates, in my book, is still a 5-star favorite. Remco Evenepoel, I'm going to put him at 4.5. I would have liked to seen that kid really just light up this last climb more than we saw on today's stage. But they're still in the game, there's no doubt about it. 5 riders up front, though, when you're talking Egan Bernal, Hugh Carthy, Vlasov, and of course Mikel Landa. Those are all good 4 riders. Giulio Ciccone's there, but I think he had timed it right and was able to stay with those guys over the top. I don't think he's going to be a big favorite here at the Giro. Vincenzo Nibali came in and he lost a little bit of time, but not enough to completely eliminate him out of the general classification here, but it's not looking positive as he lost 30-40 seconds on the stage. Exciting race today, and it opens up a lot of possibilities of what's to come. Tomorrow's stage should be one for the sprinters, so all the favorite GC guys will get a little bit of a rest day tomorrow unless some big wind or some more storm weather comes in on tomorrow's stage. Exciting Giro so far. Today did not disappoint. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys real soon on the Butterfly Effect.